Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Creative Living Fellowship's online Sunday morning service. My name is Deborah Covington. Please join me in singing our opening song, Use Me.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, and God's so much more than the earth and the stars and all of creation. God is creator, all in all, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
Good morning, CLF. Hola, CLF.
Buenos dias, CLF.
May peace be with you all.
Good morning. I'm Jeannie Sovereigns, a licensed practitioner here at CLF. Our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Sherry F. McCreary, has the day off, and I am delighted and honored to serve as the Sunday service host today and to welcome you to our online Sunday service. We are a religious science church and teaching center, and we honor all paths that lead to truth. Our vision is to be a community of care, connection, creation that opens hearts and incubates dreams. And we do this through the principles and practices of the science of mind. We have two practitioners, Reverend John Halliburton and Peter Waring, who are holding the high watch for us this morning, which means that they are sitting in meditation and prayerful contemplation as we move through this service. Thank you so much, John and Peter. Our Sunday service team members who make all of this possible for us is our AV team, Nicole Jordan and Deb Covington, our music director, David Panessa, and our tech support, Reverend Mary Jane Hyde and Fran Peck. We thank them all for their service today. Nicole Jordan will bring us our announcements, And after our announcements, there will be a brief gong wash. There will be a few minutes of silence after the gong wash, and then practitioner Carrie Sherman will bring us our reading and our evocation. But first, here are our announcements.
Thank you, Jeannie. Good morning, everybody. Are you ready for today's announcements? Your children are invited to join your let's start that again. Your children are invited to join our youth ministry weekly for Zoom lessons on Sunday, and starting today at 12 p.m. Lessons are focused on nurturing their spirituality and science of mind practices. Weekly topics are inspired by Reverend Sherry's themes and include social, emotional growth mindset and mindfulness practices. Don't meditate alone. Meditate with us in Zoom. Join us for midday meditation at noon, Monday through Thursday. We are still live streaming to Facebook if you prefer to meditate that way. Stay connected and supported with your CLF family and join Reverend Sherry every Tuesday as she hosts a Community Care Connection Zoom meeting at 6:30. This week, Reverend Sherry will be leading us in Life's Purpose Visioning. This is a powerful process that reveals more the more you do it. Visioning is a spiritual practice that aligns you to the possibilities greater than you can ever imagine for your experience. Join us this Tuesday and open up, surrender, and align to God's vision for your life. We look forward to seeing you then. Join Fran Peck on Friday, October 30th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. for a special Halloween Yappy Hour. That's right, we're having a pet Halloween costume party. Drop in anytime you want between 5 and 6:30 and dress yourself and your pets up, if you like. I know I can't wait for Godzilla's costume to arrive. That's a costume for my lizard, not a Godzilla costume for me. Or is it? You'll have to join us to find out. Has this time home in quarantine been a bit boring? Are you feeling like you have no motivation, creativity, or spunk? Have you been stuck with those people? You know, your spouse, kids, roommates, and the DoorDash driver? You need a breakthrough. Sign up now for Jeannie Sovereign's 4-week class, Blocks and Boredom to Breakthrough. This class and at-home experiments are designed to get your spirit in the flow of Source again. Let's put this year to bed and bring on 2021 with new vitality. The class is on Saturday, starting November 14th from 1 to 3 p.m. Watch for your ballot in the mail. If you have registered to receive your ballot through the mail, please be aware that those ballots were mailed on October 7th. If you are registered and wish to receive a mail-in ballot, the last day to request one is October 23rd. When you filled in your ballot, please mail it by the deadline, which is October 28th. The recommended date, though, with the mail delays was last week, so make sure you get it in as soon as you can. If you want to be certain that your ballot is received and counted, please take it to an official Dropbox location. You can find a link in our comments for drop-off locations. I did mine last week, and it was a piece of cake. Remember, you can use Text to Give to make your contributions to CLF. Simply text the amount you'd like to give to 602-610-1868. And if it's your first time donating by text, you'll be sent a link to set up your account. And then again, after that, it's as easy as texting the amount you'd like to tithe to 602-610-1868. Our Sunday prayer room is available to you after service today. There's no reason to miss out on your post-service prayer stop with the practitioner. Technology enables us to continue to provide this service to you. So immediately after service, head on over to Zoom and let one of our licensed practitioners hold the truth for you, no matter what you're going through, and offer you support through spiritual mind treatment and using spiritual practices. And we also have post-service fellowship too. Join practitioner Jeannie Sovereigns in Facebook Messenger chat from 11:15 to 12:15 and hang out, discuss the service, what's on your mind or heart, or share something you're grateful for. You can find the details for all of our events with their links on our website under events, under our Facebook events, posted in the comments, or in your weekly newsletter. And that is it for today's announcements. It is now time to move on to our gong wash, followed by a moment of silence.
Good morning. I'm practitioner Carrie Sherman. Today's reading is called Radical Acceptance, Embracing Your Life with the Heart of a Buddha, and it's by Tara Brach. In contrast to orthodox notions of climbing up a ladder seeking perfection, psychologist Carl Jung describes the spiritual path as an unfolding into wholeness. Rather than trying to vanquish waves of emotion and rid ourselves of an inherently impure self, we turn around and embrace this life in all its realness, broken, messy, mysterious, and vibrantly alive. By cultivating an unconditional and accepting presence, we are no longer battling against ourselves, keeping our wild and imperfect self in a cage of judgment and mistrust. Instead, we are discovering the freedom of becoming authentic and fully alive. Let us take these words of wisdom into prayer. Fully alive, we are becoming authentic and fully alive, as there is one power within all things, one source that feeds and nourishes all things, that has created all things. That life, that energy, that wisdom, call it God, universal intelligence, divine love. It is all there is. It is the one source. It is the one truth. And that truth resides within all things. That truth is waiting to be expressed through all things. That truth is my truth. I am that. source in human form. I'm a spiritual being, but having a vibrantly alive human experience. I am unfolding into my authentic self every single day as I practice the presence, as I practice the principles of science of mind, as I am fully present and aware of who and whose I am. And as I speak my word this morning, for me, I'm speaking for everyone involved in this service, everyone within the Creative Living Fellowship community, wherever they may be, whatever they are doing on this beautiful, cooler morning. I speak my word for everyone on this planet, authentically alive, vibrantly alive, expressing our highest selves. I accept and I know that this is the truth, regardless of appearance of any discomfort or disagreement or differences of opinion. God is expressing as every single being on this planet. And I honor that, and I know and I trust that the highest and best good is occurring in our lives today as we practice the presence and are fully aware of who and whose we are. So I send blessings to everyone involved this morning, everyone within the sound of my voice and beyond, and everyone on this planet Earth. I send blessings as this service continues to unfold perfectly, gracefully, easily, wonderfully. I just simply say thank you, Divine Indwelling Presence. Thank you for our guest speaker. Thank you for our guest musical talent. Thank you for all the staff and volunteers who make this possible for all of us to be fed. I rejoice. I release my word into the universal law of the one, the law of God that simply says, yes, 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 my beloved, yes. And so with faith and trust and a joy-filled heart, I let it be and I let it go. And so it is. Amen. It is now my pleasure to introduce our musical guest today, Craig Haley.
What would Jesus do if he came back today and he looked around? Do you think he'd say, would he offer prayer for the world's peace? What would Jesus do? And the Buddha too. Would he sit and smile in his enlightened way? Would he pause a while and offer alms? Teach us all of peace. What would Buddha do? We are one family, lined and defined in the mind of God. We shine as we mine our destiny. One journey, many paths to one God. And Muhammad too, in community, knew that paradise was reality. Would he be called to prayer for the world's peace? What would the prophet do? aligned and defined in the mind of God. We shine as we mine our destiny. It's one journey, many paths to one God. Chief Seattle knew of a higher call. What we do to one, we would do to all. Through the web of life weaves the world's peace. Chief Seattle knew. We are one family, aligned and defined in the mind of God. We shine as we mine our destiny. One journey, many paths to one God. One journey, many paths to one God.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Craig Haley. It is now my extreme pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today. One of our favorite friends, and definitely one of my favorite authors, the Reverend Dr. Jerry Trower. Dr. Jerry is a native of San Diego, California, where he serves as a staff minister at the Om Center for Spiritual Living, and is also an administrator for the Anton affiliated New Thought Network, an organization of independent New Thought religious science centers, of which CLF is a member church. Dr. Jerry lives in La Mesa, California, with his beloved golden retriever, Maggie. And now, without further ado, here is Dr. Jerry Trower.
Greetings, Creative Living Fellowship. I'm Reverend Dr. Jerry Troyer, and it's a great pleasure to be with you thanks to the joys of technology. Thanks to Reverend Dr. Sherry for the opportunity. As you may know, your theme for the month is Bloom Where You're Planted. And my topic for this morning is adding to that while dealing with the weeds. As so very often happens, as I am speaking to you and with you, I am also speaking to myself. So I thank you for being with me as I'm talking to myself. It's great to be with you this morning. Do you ever think about why you're here in this moment? You could have been on the earth around the times of Jesus and been one of the disciples or one of the women at the tomb. You could have been born in prehistoric times and been very concerned about the saber-toothed tiger that's coming up behind you. You could have been born in the late 1800s and early 1900s and dealing with the Depression. And who's to say you weren't? A lot of people believe in reincarnation and past lives, and so we were here doing something before, and here we are, and when we're done here, we'll go on to our next experience in a new life. Whatever your belief about that is, fine. But the point is, here we are in this thing called life in 2020. Remember the John Lennon song, "Nobody told me there'd be days like these. Strange days indeed." I believe you'll agree with me that we're doing things we've never done before, doing things we never thought we'd do before, not doing things that we've always done before, and the list goes on and on. But here we are, planted in 2020. When we do our spiritual mind treatment, our affirmative prayer, we know that at the end we say, and so it is, or amen, but and so it is, and we know that something happens. We know that we accept that it is. Very often we pray for physical healing for ourselves or someone else, and I say perfect healing, whatever that perfect means. So it is physical healing and moving on in this life, or it is perfect healing transitioning to the next experience. But it is perfect, it is in divine order, it is perfectly right for whoever it is we're praying for or treating for. Spiritual practices to me, and I'm sure to you as well, and whatever you call that, are a very important part of our blooming experience. Living life consciously, being aware of our thoughts, recognizing our oneness, and recognizing that life is for us, life with a capital L, life is for us, loves us, and wants us to be happy. However, it's been my experience, and I bet it's been yours, that life doesn't always turn out the way we would have expected. If people would just cooperate, and I bet it's been your experience as it's been mine, if people would just cooperate, if they just do what we want them to do, if they take care of themselves, if they just behave, if they just do what King Jerry wants them to do, their life, and certainly mine, would be so much better. But alas, that is very often not the case. I'm sure you've heard the expression, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So now that we are in this teaching, now that we might be ministers or practitioners, and I would suggest that if you've been in this teaching for more than just a few months, even if you don't have a certificate on your wall yet, you're still a practitioner. But once we're in this teaching and we know the truth and we know what's going on, things change, but life continues to be life. It's all about how we deal with it, how we handle it, how we look at it, that makes all the difference. And I'll talk much more about that later on. Because as we're chopping wood and carrying water and blooming, there are some weeds that creep in. You might remember my story from when the last time we were together, either by Zoom or in person. My husband made his transition in the airport, the George Bush Airport, International Airport in Houston, on our way home from an Anton conference in Kansas City. And it was October 17th, 2018, so 2 years ago yesterday. He had been diagnosed and treated for colon cancer, and the chemo was doing wonderful things to the tumors, but terrible things to his body. And so I think it probably was maybe a blood clot from the flight, but he died. He actually died in the airport. I did a great job through the treatment of denying and being in principle, and I absolutely was, and knowing perfect health for him and what I wanted perfect health to be for him. But as we also know, people on their path aren't necessarily doing what we want them to do, as we talked about before. Part of my ministry that I've found since his death has to do with allowing ourselves to deal with the weeds. The weeds being not only those experiences, but our emotions and our feelings as a result of them. In religious science and New Thought and Science of Mind, we tend to be very positive. We absolutely know that all is well, that they're on their path, that everything is in divine order and all of those things. And it's so important for us to remember that. That's the truth. But the fact is that in this experience, I am grieving, I am hurting, I am angry, I am resentful, I am whatever it is, whatever those feelings are that I'm feeling. And how important it is for us to acknowledge the weeds, the feelings, so that we can process them and dig them out and release them. Sometimes coexist with the weeds. That's important as well. Last time we were together, we talked about toxic positivity, those statements that we make that's absolutely true, but that sometimes don't allow us to feel what we feel. It was a challenge. I got to say, it was a challenge for me, and it might, if you've been through this experience of loss, and whether it was the death, someone's death, or a job ending, or a relationship changing, or just something in your life that you would not have consciously chosen and would not have preferred, there's the opportunity to squash those feelings. And it's important that we recognize that there's a weed there and process it through rather than just staying in denial about it. Part of the experience for me was asking the question, who am I now? Because my husband was Jerry and I was Jerry squared. And we were Jerry and Jerry squared for 33 years. So who am I now if I'm not Jerry squared? You are someone, you might be someone's mother or father or husband or wife. You might be, and you get to fill in the blank of what you do in your work. What happens and what do we say to ourselves and how do we process through those experiences when we aren't that anymore? I'm not someone's husband. I'm not someone's wife. I'm not that, whatever that was, I'm not that anymore. How do we maintain that identity and find the new purpose in our lives? Really important questions and really important things to consider. What I found was, and I went through that experience with a job change, I might not be doing that job anymore, but because I know that spirit is the source of my good, there's something else, there's some other way that spirit has of bringing my financial good to me. I might not be that person's husband or wife anymore, but spirit has the most amazing way of bringing love into my life and quite possibly bringing me a new relationship. And don't tell anybody, but spirit has, which is really incredibly exciting. But that's a separate story. As we begin to heal, as we begin to look at the weeds, to not deny them, but allow them, then we can heal through this. We can turn the page into the new chapter of our lives, and then we can lovingly release or dig out the weeds. So in 2020, if you look at things that aren't necessarily what you had in mind as weeds, you could look back on 2020 and see that we had a pretty good bumper crop of dandelions, of crabgrass, of Bermuda grass, of ragweed, of goosegrass, of all those things in our garden in the midst of our flowers that are blooming. So how do we bloom where we've been planted? How do we stay anchored in principle? How do we keep putting one foot in front of the other? Because I don't know about you, but there are those days when I just really want to go do whatever. I want to climb on a plane and go someplace. I want to go to church on Sunday. I want to do whatever it is that we're just not yet able to do. And if we're feeling a little bit choked off by the weeds, how do we get back to blooming again? I was looking for the author for this wonderful statement that I'm sure you've heard before, Zig Ziglar and a few other people, quoting, "It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it." In Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's writing about grief, she says the final stage of the 5 steps or the 5 stages, the last stage is acceptance. After, well, maybe after you go through the grieving, but as you're going through it, at some point, it kind of gets through all the process and finally drops into your heart that this is how it is now. Because living in denial not just being a river in Egypt, but denial also being, no, but that can't be. No, but that's not right. As we get past that, we get to acceptance, oftentimes with sadness. My words, not Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's, but I believe there is sadness there, and sadness that whatever it was isn't happening anymore, but also that acceptance that this is how it is. It's October of 2020, and we've not been able to do a lot of things that we wanted to do, or at least I haven't, and I bet you haven't as well this year. You might have missed a wedding. You might have missed a high school or college graduation. You might, I have, and you might as well have airline tickets burning a hole in your pocket, or cruise tickets, or the most amazing vacation of your life tickets burning a hole in your pocket that you weren't able to use, and we're not quite sure when we're able to use that, when we will be able to do what we want to do. That brings grief. I believe that anytime life doesn't go the way we had in mind, there's a great big fat weed there, and it brings us grief and a feeling of loss and a feeling of letdown. So the opportunity is to look at that and see how we can deal with it, live with it, and maybe coexist with it. Because we won't get these months in 2020 back, but there are opportunities coming. There are absolutely opportunities coming for us to do what we weren't able to do so far this year. Acceptance that this is how it is now. Will we get back to stadiums with 65 or 70,000 people packed in? Will we get back to conferences with thousands and thousands of people? Don't know. This is how it is now, without projecting or worrying about how it's going to be later on. One of the weeds can sometimes be not allowing ourselves to stay in the moment. The yes, but what happens if? Don't know. All we can do is stay in this moment and be safe and be secure and know that in this moment all is well. It's different out there. Jerry and I were together for 33 years, and he passed away 2 years ago. He died 2 years ago. In my acceptance process, I'm allowing myself to use the D word that we try and stay away from, but the truth is that he died. So it's been 33 plus 2, so it's been 35 years since I dated. The world was very different 35 years ago. I don't think there was internet even. The dinosaurs were, no, it wasn't that long ago. But there weren't apps on your phone where you could meet people. There wasn't eHarmony. There wasn't all these things that we have now. And so it's a different experience. Can we allow ourselves to accept that and say, this is how it is now? You might have seen my posting on Facebook yesterday related to acceptance, and that this just really touched my heart. So the level of non-acceptance is it's raining. I don't like the rain. I wish it wasn't raining. My day would be better if it wasn't raining. My day is ruined. Every day is like this. Why does it always rain when I want it to be sunny? It just always rains. Versus, it's raining. Yep. That's it. Instead of staying stuck in how I wish it was, there is the opportunity to say, this is how it is. One of my favorite quotes from A Course in Miracles is, I could have peace. No, I'm sorry. I could see peace instead of this. When we have those experiences, when we have those weeds, it's not that there's a weed there because there's going to be a weed there. It's about how we deal with it, how we handle it. Do we allow ourselves to accept it? One of my favorite books is Smile for No Good Reason by Lee Jampolsky. And in the book, he talks about toddler wisdom. 3 key points for us as we're living life, dealing with the weeds, blooming, and chopping wood and carrying water, because we're doing all of these things simultaneously. The first being, bye-bye. You know, if you've ever dealt with a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old and someone's leaving, bye-bye. Probably no tears, probably no, oh dear God, when will I see you again? Probably no, what am I going to do without you? Just a simple, okay, you're leaving, things are changing, bye-bye. What if we could look at those weeds, those changes, those losses with a little more lightness and a little less drama and a little less fear, recognizing that the universe abhors a vacuum. So when something changes, when someone or something leaves, there will be a new opportunity for us. And trust this process of this thing called life. So, toddler wisdom, first one is bye-bye. Second one is all gone, done with lunch. All gone. Not, oh God, what's for dinner? Not, what are we going to do now? Just A very simple, all gone, I finished my lunch, I'm gonna go out and play. So much easier. Recognizing that you can't pick the last orange off the tree. When our being is anchored in principle and recognizing that spirit is our source, when we pick the last orange off the tree, we know that in the unseen, there is more good being created for us, that life always says yes to us and takes care of us. So we can have that absolute knowing with spirit as our source that there is more good coming for us. All gone. So bye-bye, all gone. And my favorite is whoopsie. Spilled that milk. Whoopsie. Forgot to do whatever that was. Whoopsie. Lost my temper. Whoopsie. This allows us to recognize we're always doing the best we can, and so is everybody else. And so rather than judging, rather than creating resentment toward others and regret for ourselves, we can just stay in that recognition that, whoopsie, you just clean it up and get a fresh glass of milk. You just forgive yourself and others as you need to and move forward. Bye-bye. All gone. Whoopsie. I feel like we've missed a lot in 2020. When Reverend Dr. Sherry and I first talked about my guest speaking on this day, it was my intention to be with you in person. And of course, we're not doing that yet. But we know there will be other opportunities. There will be other opportunities for us to do all the wonderful things that we've not been able to do right now. We just allow ourselves to remember that we're not done yet. The recovery community uses the Serenity Prayer, and you might be familiar with it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So very often the weed, to use that idea again, the weed is when we can't accept whatever it is that needs to be accepted. That dandelion, what's that dandelion doing in my garden? What's it bringing me? What's it telling me? What do I need to forgive? What do I need to release so that I can dig that up? They stay, those weeds in our garden that keep us from blooming as we could, stay unless and until we're ready to release them. So what are we ready to release? What weeds are we ready to let go of? Blooming where we've been planted includes releasing the weeds that we can, coming to terms with and coexisting with the weeds that we can't. The loss of someone's physical presence in our lives is a weed maybe that we can't release, but we can accept it and coexist with it. And we can find peace instead of this. So with that in mind, would you join me in the light for just a moment? Releasing thoughts of earlier today, releasing thoughts of later today or tomorrow, we allow ourselves to be fully present in this moment. And as we do, we are reminded of our oneness with the God presence with one another and with all of life. And we give great thanks for this day, for the opportunity to be together thanks to the joys and wonders of technology. To be together as one mind and one heart in this beloved spiritual community. And today, like never before and moving forward, we allow ourselves to recognize the weeds, to recognize those feelings and those experiences that aren't as we would have chosen. And without judgment, without shooting on ourselves, we accept. We accept that we never walk alone. We accept that we are always loved, always nurtured, always divinely guided. We accept that. And moving forward in peace and calm and wisdom, we know that all is well. For this time together, for this teaching, for Creative Living Fellowship, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Jerry. Always a pleasure to hear you. This is the time we participate in the divine law of giving and receiving by giving of our tithes and offerings. CLF is a tithing church, so join us in this sacred practice by tithing here at CLF. Click the donate link on our Facebook or website or in the comments. You can also text to give or sign up for our auto tithe. We so appreciate your continued financial support of CLF as our financial obligations continue. Now, if you would please join me for our offering blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God, and so it is. Here again is Craig Haley with our offering music.
Take my hand and walk with me. Join the journey of the free. And choose peace. Choose peace. Say make diversity our reality by sowing love where there is none. We stand in liberty, our soul set free, set a brotherhood of one. When we choose peace, gotta choose peace. Take my hand and walk with me. It's the only way to be. Choose peace. Said it's when we segregate that we create. Said a war we cannot win. For when we build a wall between us all, who is out? Who is in? When we choose peace, gotta choose peace. Take my hand and walk with me. Join the journey of the free. Choose peace. rush to judging choices when the world's in so much strife. It's time that we join voices in solidarity to life. Don't let tolerance sit on the fence. Kindness is your key. Unlock compassion's door. Then you'll explore how joyful brotherhood can be when we choose peace. Gotta choose peace. Take my hand and walk with me on the journey of the free. Choose peace. Create a rainbow chain that takes its name from the color of our skin. A love that's been concealed will be revealed while hand in hand, say we all begin. Choose peace. Say we gotta choose peace. Take my hand and walk with me, join the journey of the free. Choose peace. Take my hand and walk with me, 'cause it's the only way to be. Choose peace. Say you got to choose peace. Say you gotta choose peace. Well, you gotta choose peace.
Thank you so much, Craig. Choose peace. Love it. So time for some closing announcements. There are many opportunities for prayer by our practitioners. You can join us in our new Zoom prayer room immediately after service. The practitioner will pray live with you in an individual prayer room. We also have on-call practitioners available to pray live with you throughout the week, as well as our prayer request email, which is prayer@creativelivingfellowship.com. Don't forget about connecting with everyone. We have our community connection meeting Tuesday evening with Reverend Sherry. And also, in 15 minutes, you can join me on Facebook Messenger for fellowship time. Remember to continue to use the treatment for supply at home. Say it with feeling, meaning, gusto. I am so glad you were with us here today. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, please join us in our closing song, I Release.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life and my